Before Yuri Burlan's system vector psychology training, I had the idea and the desire to find an activity that wouldn't disappoint me in a month or two, where I would find my fulfillment, where I would realize that yes, this is mine, this is my activity, I was born for this. I think subconsciously it's always been this question, what am I going to become? What am I going to be? And I've always looked at my surroundings, my friends, my father, my mother, my grandmother, what they do for a living, somehow analyzing how much they earn, whether they like it, how much time they spend at home. And I always tried it on myself and tried to feel it somehow. Maybe I should do this, try it here, try it there. But I got to my final year of school, and I was on the eve of exams. I didn't know what I wanted to be, whom I even planned to be. And somehow I followed my friends. They're both moving away. And I thought, I'm good with them. I'll go with them. I'll study there, try it out, see what it's like, just go to another city. And somehow I got into this university. I studied for 5 years, and in the end I never started working in my specialty. I changed jobs. It was on such enthusiasm, that is, I was interested. I tried here, I tried there, I saw some, that didn't suit me, I went to work somewhere else. I didn't do well there, I didn't see that it was my thing, my way, so I quit too. And yeah, after a while, I started to notice that the story repeats itself every time. And it's so cyclical. I can see it. I can see it for myself, that I start to work, and I lose interest in it. And every time I have a thought, that thought was always somewhere in the back of my mind, in the periphery of my consciousness, that I feel like I was born for something more, not just doing all this stuff, not just making money, not just working on some design position to make a lot of money. Yeah, I wasn't really interested in that. I mean, in all the jobs that I was changing, I was looking for something that was going to ignite me. And that's all I was willing to work for. I started to analyze. This analyzing, it never stopped. I literally even wrote down some of my feelings in Messenger. I would write down how I was feeling at that moment, what was happening. I've been trying to analyze where the failure is happening, at what point. Maybe I could fix something and prepare myself for that moment. Because I just didn't want to do anything anymore. I didn't even want to try anything new. I was just lying, thinking, why would I start anything now? Even get involved in any kind of activity if I already know how it's going to end. That's all. I already... Somehow I've run out of these attempts. And so, and even more, I've been pressed somehow by questions from my parents, from my grandmother. They were always asking me, what about your future, how you see it, what you're going to be, what you're doing, what you're engaged in. And I always had an answer for them. Some goals I told them, but I didn't see them clearly and I didn't really believe in them. I was telling them to avoid these questions, to give them an answer, and to get out of the conversation. Because if I kept having this dialogue, then I was going to have some kind of storm. I don't know what it was. I mean, I couldn't have a normal conversation. I was constantly interjecting, interrupting, shifting topics. Anyway, it was always stressful dialogue, so I was just I was preparing for them, and I'd give them a goal that I had drawn up, and they'd calm down, I'd calm down, and I'd go back to my own thoughts. I pushed myself out of those states of mind by moving to another city. I mean, I thought to myself, well, as long as I'm in this whole thing, sitting here doing nothing, I should set myself some kind of ambitious goal and push myself radically into it. And I found no other way but to move to another city, completely unfamiliar to me, and sell. I sold my car, by the way, and used the money to leave. So I had money for 3 months of my life. I thought that in those 3 months I would find something in another city, a big city, the capital of our country. And there I will definitely use myself somehow and find something. So I left. I ended up there again with the fact that I got an interesting job. I worked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no weekends. It was a remote job. I was sitting at home, and that was it. I was just working, taking on a lot of responsibilities, and I didn't really think about anything else. I guess it helped me in a certain way to get away from this analysis, introspection. But in the end, it led me to even worse consequences. As a result of my intensive work, I began to faint. And it was for no reason, without any warning at all. So it was completely unexpected every time. And they started to become more common. I mean, they started happening more and more frequently. I mean, at first it was every 3 months and then every month and a half. And eventually I got to the point where once a month I'd consistently pass out. In some place that was totally, I mean, it was something that you can't predict. You fall somewhere, you pass out somewhere, you have a seizure. Either it's a public place of some kind or it's at home. And I started living in a new reality. I quit that job, which I thought was the cause of my condition. But the fainting didn't stop, they just started happening more frequently. I had checkups, several medical exams, MRIs, EEGs, lab tests. But the doctors didn't have a specific diagnosis for me. I mean, yes, they looked, but the vitals were normal. One day I met up with a friend of mine who we'd have coffee with from time to time, go to some arts events in the city. So we met once again for a chat. And I didn't actually share with anyone else my problems, my conditions. Well, I somehow solved them on my own. And I didn't expect help from anyone. For some reason, it just kind of came up that I talked about some of my own cases, about the frequency, about we had a heart-to-heart talk, and somehow I felt that I wanted to share it. The next day I got a message from a friend on Messenger with information about a system vector psychology training, that it might help me. Maybe you'll see something, maybe you'll see yourself. Understand yourself a little bit better. Maybe you'll see some clues for yourself. Anyway, psychology training. It's starting, it's literally starting today. So if you've got time, come and have a look. I mean, I've developed some interest, and I got into it. Anyway, it was a few lectures, and then these few lectures, and each time I'd get new information, I would go out the next day and start observing it around me. And it was a thrill, of course, because I'd never seen people like that before. And I wanted to go to the full training to get more information because I'd already hit a bit of a ceiling. I mean, I felt like I couldn't get something out of the articles, out of the form. I can't get any more information. I want details. I want some deeper information. And that's what made me go further to a full training course. Yuri Burlan spoke in detail about people, including people like me, with such characteristics as mine. And I instantly recognized myself in my behaviors, in my interests, and in the consequences of this or that activity. And it helped me to understand what brought me to this state in the end, and what I needed to do to avoid it. And I saw a lot of realizations, options for realization that I can take advantage of. And it's such a wild pleasure to finally get to know my states altogether, because it turns out that I felt them inside, but it was hard for me to put them into words, to put them into terms, to say them, even when I was writing things out. You know, it was all around and near and out there. And now I heard it clearly, and it just somehow resonated inside me that yes, that's what it is. The most important thing is that I have this inner certainty that now I'm not wondering if I'm going to succeed, if I'm going to make it, or if I'm going to fail. Now, after I've been through the training, I realize what qualities I actually possess. I've seen it confirmed, and now I'm just looking for ways to realize and grow. Already after Yuri Burlan's training, I connected my life with an activity that I'm interested in, where I make enough money, where I do what I love. And I don't have any doubts. I don't analyze what I did well, what I have not done. I'm just doing my projects properly, and I enjoy it completely. I'm inspired by all the things from the beginning of pre-production to the planning of the shoot, to scripting, to shooting. It's every stage in which I'm diving into this work. I immerse myself with pleasure, and I don't see it as my job or as something I have to do. I see it as something I was born to do, basically. And I feel it, and I see it. The problem that I came to the training with, my fainting episodes, my seizures, my blackouts, started to happen less and less often. So it was happening in parallel with my involvement in my work. Realizing my projects, my activities. I liked it. And somehow, I started to notice that I don't think about where I'm going to fall, how I'm going to fall. I'm thinking about how I'm going to be useful. What projects I should do, what work I should do. And I started to get more and more into it, and my feigning started to happen less and less often. And now I'm in the 9th month that I don't have any episodes, and I don't feel like it's going to happen at all, because I have this confidence inside me, this inner core, that I'm completely calm, and I'm just living, enjoying life. I would like to say thank you to Yuri Burlan for this opportunity to live my life, not someone else's life, not to try on someone else's experience, but to really live my life in all sensations, in all manifestations. I can say with certainty that today, right now, I'm living my life that I was born for.